السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الناس إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا إنما يدعو حزبه ليكونوا من أصحاب السعير. فقال تعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان ومن يتبع خطوات الشيطان فإنه يأمر بالفحشاء والمنكر. Respected brothers, respected sisters, first and foremost, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to pray salat with jama'at, and after that Allah ta'ala enabled us to sit for a few minutes. Yesterday, as I had mentioned, there are two things, nafs and shaitan, that becomes an obstacle. It puts us into destruction. So just want to focus on this topic here. It's a very important topic. So first, nafs, and then inshallah we will discuss shaitan and the tricks of shaitan. So there are two things that become an obstacle for us to let go of sins. We want to let go of sins. We want to become better Muslims. We want to become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We want to become connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there are two challenges we face. In the month of Ramadan, mashallah, we were building this factory. This was like a factory where we were building our taqwa, our nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, mashallah, we worked so hard. But now the test will be after the month of Ramadan. Are we able to maintain what we gained in the month of Ramadan or not? So two things will become a challenge for us. Number one is our nafs. Allama Busayri rahmatullah alayhi mentions that many things that we want to do, it's because of our urge, temptation, desire, that it becomes very difficult for us to let go of. So some people, they have bad habit of eating chocolates. I mentioned about smoking yesterday. Sometimes we have bad habit of looking at things we're not supposed to be looking at, and we just can't help ourselves. It just happens. We try our best, but we just can't let go of this. So Allama Busayri rahmatullah alayhi, he gives an example that our nafs is like the nafs of is like a child. So when you have an infant child, a newborn child, obviously it's only feeding off mother's milk. There is nothing else. It only drinks milk. So now what happens is this child, when the time comes to wean, to stop drinking milk, the mothers, they go through a very, very difficult time. It's been 2 years, and obviously within 2 years we have to stop feeding our child the milk of the mother. But the child will not stop drinking milk. How many mothers, they go through this problem where they try to disconnect the child from the mother's milk, but the child will not stop. The child will cry. You try to give the child so much food, like there is so much food available. You can tell them that there is barbecue available, there is biryani, there's so much food available. But the child cannot understand any of that. The child is so connected to that milk that it only wants milk. Those are parents, they know exactly what I am talking about, how difficult time they had with their children to let go, to stop giving them milk, mother's milk. So you can tell them that there is biryani out there, there is barbecue out there, there's burgers out there, there's milkshake out there. You can even put it in front of the child. But still the child wants what? Milk. Why? Because the child has become so accustomed to that milk. So now what the mother is going to do? Forcefully. The mother is going to force the child for a couple of days. It will take maybe a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. She will not give any milk at all. So after 1 week, after 2 weeks, now the child will get used to the other food. In a similar way, it will be some kind of burden upon us. Well, if you want to really help yourself let go of the sin, in the beginning, just like the child was so attached to the milk, we are so attached to committing those sins. Now, in order for us to stop sinning, we will have to do something. Sometimes, we have relationship with, opposite partner who we're not supposed to have relationship with. Many youngsters, they came to me and they told me about this problem that, I am in love with so-and-so person. I know it's not permissible, it's haram and this and that, but I don't know how to stop it. So, you're going to have to do something. You have to make sure you delete the messages, you complete all your contacts, you don't have any kind of connection with the person for 1 day, 2 days. And this is a real story I'm mentioning. One youngster came to me and he was in a deep trouble. He was Hafiz al-Quran too. And he was in deep trouble. And he said to Mufti Sahib, I know this is totally wrong, but I'm into it. I met this person at school and it's taken over my education, and day and night I'm only after her. And I know that I'm not going to marry her. And I know she's not going to marry me, but we both cannot stop this relationship. What do we do? So I had to help him. So I said, make sure the first thing is you have to stop. It's going to be hard on you. Stop any kind of any connection, no contact, no text messaging, no WhatsApp, no chatting, nothing. And keep yourself away. It was very hard on him. But alhamdulillah, I was checking on him every few days. And he said, he gave me his words, and he's not doing anything. It took him a couple of weeks. But after that, he was so happy and he was so grateful. He came to me, Jazakallah for helping me. So in the beginning, that nafs, it was so attached to it. So my respected brothers, the first sin, the first, first element is nafs, which, provokes us towards committing sins. So the only solution to this is obviously dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's number one. And the second thing is, obviously we have to try our best. It's going to hurt our feelings, but despite that, we crush our feelings for the better good. Like this child, when it stops drinking milk, now it's going to enjoy what? Milkshake. It's going to have what? Candies. It's going to have chocolates. It's going to have biryani, barbecue, so many good things it's going to have. And he's going to enjoy it. And then that's going to be far better than the milk of the mother. The second thing that becomes an obstacle is, and that provokes us towards sins, is shaitan. Now, shaitan was a very learned person. He was a learned jinn. So obviously, he comes with a very creative way. So there's a book. I know I'm not going to be able to explain this topic in this time that I have, but there's a book called Talbis Iblis. This is a book written by Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi alayh, and it's an amazing kitab. Everyone should be reading this kitab, The Deception of Shaitan, and the Deception of Iblis. So I will share with you, what زُيِّنَ لَهُمْ سُوءُ أَعْمَالِهِمْ فَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ فَهُمْ لَا يَهْتَدُونَ. What shaitan does is, it creates, it's like a candy. We know that candy is a junk food. We know that it is not good. It's junk food. You call it junk food. But no matter how bad the candy, how detrimental the candy is or chocolate is, it's wrapped up in such a beautiful packaging that you just want to take a bite of it. You crave for it. You just want to try it. Sometimes these cakes here, just the icing on it, the design on it, it creates that feeling in you that you just want to try it, even though you know that you're diabetic and it's not good for you. So what shaitan does is, anything which is haram, anything which is impermissible, it will switch your mind. It will play with your mind. And it will mess your mind up until it gets you into committing that sin. So that's the problem with shaitan, that it will justify things for you and it will make it halal for you. And in your mind, you will become the mufti of yourself and you will make it permissible for yourself to commit that sin. Let's take one example. Now this is an amazing example that Allama Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi quotes in Talbis Iblis, and he references to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in one. It's a mursal narration that in Banu Israel there was a person and he was a worshipper, Abid, a big worshipper. Everyone knew him. His name was Barusis. His name was Barusis. He was a well-known person and well-respected and honored. Now what happened was, three brothers, they had to go in a journey, and they had a sister. They didn't know what to do with the sister. Who is going to look after the sister? Where is she going to stay? She can't stay all alone, and all three brothers had to go on a journey. So what they did was they kept that sister with this rahib, because he was a very pious person. He was ascetic. He's totally disconnected from dunya, only worshipping day and night. So obviously he's a very trustworthy person. He's probably one of the best person to go to. So they said that, please look after our sister. So Abid said, no way. Please don't keep this. Don't do this. He said, no, please, you have to. They insisted. So in the beginning, what he did was, he said that, okay, you go in that room, in that building in front, and this is my sawma'a. This is my worship place. I'm going to be here, and she can stay in that next door building. In the house there, she can stay there. So what he used to do is, whenever it was time for food, he would take the food, put the food by the door, and then he will come back to his sawma'a, his worship place, and then shout from his sawma'a. His sawma'a is basically called a worship place. So he will shout from his worship place and say, oh, so and so, I put your food by the door. Please pick it up and take it. Meaning he was totally away from her. He wanted to keep totally away from this person here. Now this was the beginning. And then after that, Shaitan says that, look, you're doing all this. Did you ever see her condition? What if she is sick? What if she is not well? You don't know. You don't talk to her. You've never spoken to her yet. Try to at least, build. She's all alone. She's isolated. How could you be doing this? So now he starts thinking, what? It's true. I should at least, see if she's okay, her well-being. So what he does is, now when he takes the food, he knocks on the door and gives the food. So he just takes a glimpse at her face to see if she's okay. And, so at least he has itminan that she is okay. And then goes away. Now the shaitan when shaitan tells him that, why don't you at least ask her, talk to her a little bit, that is she okay or not? So now he's like, yes, I should be asking her. I'm just looking at her, but I should be asking her. So now, going by the door, giving the food, asking her, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Is your health okay? All these questions, and then going back. After some time, the shaitan comes back again. And shaitan says that, look, you're only asking few questions. Why don't you spend more time with her? She's in isolation. She can't live alone. You should sit with her, give her some time. Now this Barsis, he ends up going to that house, giving the food, and now spending some time in loneliness, in isolation with her, and talks with her. Slowly after that, obviously when shaitan got both of them so close, now he ended up committing something haram. Now when he ends up committing something haram, now he regrets. That's what happens. Any sin that you commit, especially a believing person, when he commits a sin, he will always regret after that he's done something terribly wrong. So now this person here, he's regretting that, wallah, I did something wrong. Eventually that girl became pregnant. Now when she becomes pregnant, now that's even worse. Because when the brothers come, there's a trace here, something had happened. Now he's in trouble. There's a child here. And obviously she herself might tell the brothers that this is what the Abid did. This is what this pious person did to me. So what should he do? Now shaitan comes. And shaitan is playing his mind and saying that, look, the only thing that you could do is just take her life. So now the shaitan takes the life of this beautiful girl here, young girl, and the boy and the child, and buries them. So he didn't want to leave any trace. And shaitan says that when the brothers come back, say that, oh, she became very sick and ill, and she passed away. Eventually, after some time, the brothers did come back. So when they come back, they ask this question, where's our sister, our lovely sister? He made up a story that, oh, she had passed away, she was sick, and she was not doing too well. So she died, so I buried her in this place here. Okay, no problem. Now it's a nidam of Allah. What happens is, now in some narration it is mentioned shaitan was coming to their mind. So shaitan was playing games both sides. So the shaitan was coming into the dreams, And Shaitan was showing them the whole picture, what this Abid did, Barusis did with the sister. So all three brothers are getting same dream, that he did zina, had a child, killed the sister, buried her. Same dream. So they wake up in the morning. Now when they wake up in the morning, they're saying that, I had a very strange dream of our sister. They're all saying the same thing. Now what happens is, I know this dream is not true, but, obviously he's a very pious person. He can never do this. But the young one, he said, no, we need to investigate this matter here. There's something wrong. So when they investigated, then this Abid, this person who was supposed to be a pious person, he had to concede. He accepted that yes, he did the sin and he committed a mistake and he committed the sin. So now what happens is, obviously, he's in trouble. So now the Shaitan comes back to him. And Shaitan says that, look, there is only one way you could save yourself. What is it? Now he is desperate for help. So he's asking, tell me how could I save? These guys are going to kill me now because I took the life of their sister. So now the Shaitan says, you have to do one thing. You have to renounce your faith. And you have to have faith in me. And renounce your faith. So he says, okay, if that's the only way you would save me, I'm ready to do that. So he does this. And the moment he says that, he renounces his faith, Shaitan goes out, I'm running away. Then Allama Jawzi Rahmatullahi Alayhi quotes the ayat, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ كْفُرْ. Shaitan will bring you so close to kufr. And he will make you say kufr. And the moment you say you don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the Shaitan going to do? Allah ta'ala says in the Quran, كَمَثَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ إِذْ قَالَ لِلْإِنسَانِ كْفُرْ فَلَمَّا كَفَرَ قَالَ إِنِّي بَرِيءٌ مِّنْكَ إِنِّي أَخَافُ اللَّهَ رَبَّ الْعَالَمِينَ. Shaitan will run away and say that, I cannot help you anymore. Now this person, he lost his dunya and he lost his akhirat as well. So this is what Shaitan does. لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Shaitan promised Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will sit right on a straight path. In the middle of the path, I will be sitting on the straight path. And I will come to your servants from every direction to deviate them, to misguide them, and take them away from Islam. My respected brothers, this was just one example that I gave you. But Shaitan, now I want to bring you to reality of what's happening in today's time. Now many cases have happened in today's time. Shaitan comes to us and Shaitan makes it seem that everything is good and smooth. But what Shaitan is trying to do is he's trying to justify something haram, and we want to do it by making it halal, and then after that Shaitan puts us into trouble and Shaitan runs away. How many cases have happened like that? There was a case that happened in Toronto. Now these are some, serious stories. There was one case that happened. One brother came. One brother mentioned this story to me. He says that there was one sister. Now this is so common. These things are happening as I speak. I'm skipping many other stories that Ibn Jawzi Rahmatullahi Alayhi mentions because of the time here. But the point I want to make is, look how Shaitan deceives and manipulates our mind. And we think we are doing the right thing, but we are doing something haram. Allah Ta'ala clearly mentions this in the Quran. وَمَنْ يَعْشُ عَنْ ذِكْرِ الرَّحْمَنِ نُقَيِّدْ لَهُ شَيْطَانًا فَهُوَ لَهُ قَرِينٌ وَإِنَّهُمْ لَيَصُدُّونَهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Shaitan, Allah Ta'ala clearly says in the Quran, وَإِنَّهُمْ لَيَصُدُّونَهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ. He will stop you and totally put a block between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in your mind, you will be thinking that you are doing the right thing. So let's take an example of this person here. This person, a couple of years ago, over a decade ago, one brother came to me and said that, there's one sister, she was learning Quran online with one person. So they were learning online, distant learning. This has become such a common thing nowadays. People, they want to do this distant learning here. So they started. At one occasion, at one point, what happened was, and now the sister is saying that there are these few things I cannot understand. Are you able to come over and explain? So now that person, so look, it started off with something halal. Learning Quran, teaching Quran. And this is what Talbis al-Iblis, that's what Imam Ibn Jawzi Rahmatullahi is saying as well. That Shaitan will deviate you through permissible things, not through impermissible things. Oh, here in this case here, he was teaching Quran and benefiting the sister. Now what happens is, Shaitan put this thought into their mind that there's something confusing. They cannot understand. Can you come here and explain? So this person goes to the sister's house and explains. Now he sees a sister. Some relationship is built. And after some time, what happened? They ended up committing zina. Now look what happened. It all started by what? Teaching Quran. Doing something halal and something good. And look where it ended up. It ended up doing something haram. Another example. You know, mashallah, many brothers, they like to give da'wat. One brother personally told me this. I'm not making these stories of brothers. This is the fact. You know, that we need to understand the tricks of shaitan and how shaitan deceives us. One occasion, one brother, he came to me and he said that, Sheikh, you know, we go out in Jamaat and we do tabligh. But we have such a great opportunity to do tabligh online as well. So he started his tabligh online and he was giving da'wat. He was big time into tabligh and he used to give da'wat as well. So he started it. And now when he started, well, he was giving da'wat to Muslims, non-Muslims, giving everyone. And obviously sisters, males, everyone. So now he started giving da'wat to one sister. So again, what is he doing? He's doing da'wat ilallah. He's doing something very good. And this is how shaitan will put things. But we will not know how shaitan manipulates our mind. And shaitan tricks us. And we will end up doing something is totally wrong. So in this case here, what happens is this brother, he starts having a debate and deeper communication with one sister online about Islam. So he is explaining. After that, he comes to me. This brother was in touch, constantly in touch with me. He said that, you know, Mufti Sahib, what could I do? Now, it seems like, I have some feelings for her. I said, stop. Because no, I need to give da'wah to her. If I stop, what if she leaves Islam? What if she goes away? No, I need to make sure that she stays in touch. I said, brother, look, you're already, your heart is already inclined towards her. What are you going to do? So now what happens is, after some time he comes back and he says that, Mufti Sahib, I want to get married to her now. I said that about the first one. He said, no, she doesn't know. So eventually he got married. And when he got married, and then after he had trouble with the first wife, and he got into more problems, and things in this case here, at least the zina didn't happen. He ended up getting married, but then after that, I don't know what happened with the first one and the second one. Allah knows best what happened. The point I'm making, my respected brothers, is that many, many times what's going to happen is shaitan will justify it. Shaitan will put, all these virtues. Just recently, Qari Abdul Rashid Ajmeri came, and we were sitting and having a discussion. And India, Allah protect the sisters and our mothers in India. Say Ameen. They are going through a lot of trouble. They're going, the government there, I've never seen, but the government themselves are involved in this. What they're doing there is, they are taking our mothers and sisters away. And so they actually came up with a pamphlet. And in that pamphlet, they mentioned 20 benefits, fawaid. And that's exactly what shaitan does. What shaitan does is it mentions all these different fawaid, all these benefits, that if you do this, these are the benefits. You're going to get this, you're going to get this, you're going to get this. So they mention all these benefits. One of the first benefits they mention is, you don't need to do hijab anymore. You will get freedom from hijab. And the second benefit is, we will give you lots of money. And you won't need to worry. You are poor, we will give you lots of money. The third benefit is that this whole talaq issue, they made it an issue. In Islam, talaq is a beautiful system that we have. Sometimes it happens that, husband and wife cannot live together anymore. So, Allah Ta'ala has mentioned a beautiful system, how you could, separate and be at peace even after separating. However, it has become a political issue now in India. So now you will have freedom from talaq. And then many other benefits were mentioned. Now our young girls, our young mothers and sisters that are poor, they fall into these tricks. And how many, Qari Sahib mentioned to me, that at least 10,000, from what he says, at least 10,000 sisters have already left Islam. They're doing this here. And how many sisters are living Islam? Subhanallah. So my respected brothers, another example, allow our youngsters. One youngster came to me, and I want you to understand today's talk, because this is practical with everyone. Young brother, whether it's a brother, whether it's a sister, whether we are married or whether we are not married, we must understand that, what we are doing, is it genuine or is shaitan influencing us? One youngster comes to me and says that, Sheikh, he's very close to me. So at least he came to me and he says that, in my school, we have lots of Islamic activities happening. We have an MSA. Most of the universities have MSAs. So now they're asking me to become a president. So I want to become a president. So I said that, for you, I don't want you to become a president. Because I also used to go to university as well, and I used to do bayans there. The environment of university as such, you may become a president. For some people, it's okay for, becoming a president, MSA president, organizing all the salats, organizing all the functions, organizing lectures. These are all dini khidmat. These are good things. But it's good for some people, but it's not good for some people. This is what we need to understand. For now, obviously, the people that go through the MSA environment, they know, especially the president, he is put in a situation. Now, brothers will be coming to him. Sisters will be coming to him. He's going to have open relationship with everyone. Now, he's going to be exposed to so many sisters. And eventually, especially a person, if he's not married, what's going to happen? Now, slowly, he's going to fall into love with someone. And now when he falls into love with someone, what happens? My brothers, respected brothers and sisters, this whole love story that's happening nowadays, it's not that, you fall in love and you get married genuinely. People stay in love, but they have no intention to get married. They just want to do something haram, and they just want to carry on their life like that because they're too busy working, they're too busy getting education. So my respected brothers, I told this person here that no, please stay away from this here. Look after yourself, protect yourself here. So these are just few examples I gave you. And I gave you example in terms of, men and women relationship. Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullahi alayhi mentions a person, an alim, he goes through talbis. Shaitan manipulates an alim, and he does not even know that he's under the influence of shaitan. He's given many examples I don't have time to go into. Ulama, wa'iz, muhaddis, great scholars. He mentions the rich people, with their money, shaitan influences them. And he influences them anyway. For example, he says 4 ways. One way is kasab. Shaitan says that, do her earnings from anywhere you want to. This is permissible for you too. This is permissible for you. This is permissible for you. And now he starts to do haram earning. And mentions many other ways. He mentions the faqir. Faqir, I'll just give you one example. I'm just trying to give you some synopsis of this kitab. The main thing I want to do is, I want you to understand this topic very deeply. And I want you to read this kitab Talbis Iblis so that you can learn yourself and protect yourself from the tricks of shaitan and the influence of shaitan, so you can become a better believer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you can become better connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I'm just trying to skim through all these different examples here. Otherwise, it will take me a couple of days to explain this topic here. He mentions, when I was reading the kitab, he says that even a faqir, even a poor person, he also goes through what? The influence of shaitan. Now, how so? A poor person, he makes himself look poor. So when he makes himself look poor, now people will give him money. When I was reading this example today, I thought about when alim, one great person in the past, a student came for his khidmah to serve, to help him. So one student would go to his teacher all the time and help him, and just look after the chores and milk and things like that. So one day the teacher wanted to go to the marketplace. So that day, what happened was the teacher had 2 types of slippers. One was very ordinary, ordinary slippers. No one will take those slippers. No one will even touch those slippers. And then he had other slippers that were very good. Now look how ulama, they are so particular about looking after themselves. So he had good ones. So he puts the good slippers on and he goes to the marketplace. And he buys whatever. The student is with him, and then they go back. So the student said that, Sheikh, every single time you wear these normal slippers, but when you went to the marketplace, you wore these good ones. Why? Look at the example, the answer he gave. He said that I did not want to go to a seller and buy fruits and vegetables from him, and when he looks at my condition, that my slippers and my clothes are worn and torn, then he might try to reduce the price just so that because I am, looking poor. So this is called what? Asking question, not through our tongue, but through our conditions. This is mamnu'. This is not permissible. In hadith, it is mamnu', it is not permissible. That we put ourselves in a situation. I wear clothes which are so untidy and so that people can feel sorry for me. People, a lot of people, they like to beg people. And how do they beg people? They make the condition so, oh, I'm like this, or my situation like this. This is haram. This is not permissible. This is not the right to. So, what is Iblis doing? What is Shaitan doing? That poor person, he's making himself look even more poor, so that he can show himself to be a person who's sorry, and make people feel so that people can feel sorry for him, and now that way he will earn money. This is totally haram and not permissible. Therefore, my respected brothers, there's obviously my time is up here. I want to conclude this topic. Two things, especially after the month of Ramadan, we need to make sure that our nafs, we try to control our nafs, fight our nafs, and don't fall into our nafs. And even if you do, we do istighfar right away and seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number two, shaitan, we need to make sure we protect ourselves from shaitan. How do we do this? We need to learn, we need to have knowledge. Our ulama, there's so many examples that come to my mind that I can share with you. I'll give you one example. Many times. Remember, shaitan will never deceive you. If you are a religious person, shaitan will never tell you to do something haram. Shaitan will always try to push you into haram through something which is also ibadat. For example, when we used to study at night, we were supposed to learn Quran. So when we're supposed to be learning Quran, especially after Maghrib prayers, our teachers want us to be in a class learning Quran so that we can prepare for the next day. But that is a time shaitan comes to our mind. And shaitan tells us, read, why you were praying sunnat? Why don't you pray nafal? Why don't you pray awabin? So our teacher used to tell us that if shaitan is telling you all this, just pray 2 rakat salat and immediately go to your class and start studying. And after that, when you have finished your class, go back to the masjid and try to pray 4 rakat nafal salat. Shaitan will never come back to you. And you will never be able to be even 2 rakat salat after that. All shaitan was doing is, shaitan was trying to distract you from what? From what? Studying and seeking ilmi deen, knowledge of deen. Therefore, my respected brothers, this is a very detailed topic. It comes in one hadith, فَقِيهٌ وَاحِدٌ أَشَدُّ عَلَى الشَّيْطَانِ مِنْ أَلْفِ عَابِدٍ. One learned scholar is more superior and heavy and more powerful upon shaitan than 1,000 worshippers. Shaitan, it is easy for shaitan to deceive 1,000 worshippers than one learned person, one good scholar. Therefore, my respected brothers, we need to educate ourselves. And one last thing, humble appeal to every one of you. Read this dua. Rasulullah said, Allahumma rahmataka arju, fala takilni ila nafsi tarfata ayn, wa aslih li sha'ni kullah, la ilaha illallah. In this hadith here, this hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has mentioned this dua. We read this dua normally at the time of difficulty. But in this dua here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, La takilni ila nafsi tarfata ayn. O Allah, even for a blink of an eye, do not hand me over to my own nafs, that I make my decision based on my nafs. This is my last message to all of you, my respected brothers and sisters, that whenever you are in a situation, whenever you need to decide any matter, whether it's religious, whatever matter it may be, go to a pious person, go to a learned pious person, and anyone who you make mashara with. My teacher told me this, keep these two things in mind. Who do you make mashara with? You don't just go to anyone. A person who is what? Ameen. He is what? Trustworthy. He is what? Ameen. He is trustworthy. And he is what? Hafil. He will protect your secrets. He will not disclose it to anyone. Alim. He also, obviously the alim is a sifat of Allah, but alim over here meaning alim. He has the knowledge of the situation. Go to someone else. Go to that person. Never ever make a decision based on your nafs, because when you make the decision based on your nafs, whatever it may be, you want to get married to someone, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, whatever you want to do, if you make decision based on your own nafs, you're going to fall into big problem, because it might be possible that shaitan might be doing taswil. Shaitan might be putting things into your mind to make you feel that this is good, and it might not be good. But the third person who you go to, he will be able to tell you and he will be able to tell you that, this is right for you or this is wrong for you. Therefore, we make dua to Allah Ta'ala. And Rasulullah used to say, La takilni ila nafsi turfata ayn. Wallah, even blink of an eye. Even for blink of an eye, wallah, do not hand me over to my nafs. Because if I make the decision with my own nafs, I will be destroyed. That is why it's very, very important. A humble appeal. You want to protect yourself and you want to make yourself successful in this world here. Try to be connected to the good people, the pious people, the people that are connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make mashura with them so that you could be successful. And may Allah ta'ala protect me, especially, and all of you, from the, the influence of shaitan and the influence of nafs. These were a few days. Alhamdulillah, I was with you for 6 days. But alhamdulillah, Allah ta'ala, through your barakah and your dua and your talab, Allah ta'ala gave me a few extra days. So I was with you for another 2 days. I really appreciate, mashallah, you people coming and listening. Whatever it was good, it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please pray for me. May Allah ta'ala make it easy for all of you. May Allah ta'ala accept your gathering here. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect all of you and all of us, Ya Allah, from the influence of shaitan and nafs. Subhanallah bihamdihi subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.